There are some questions that humans have been asking pretty much forever, and sometimes the best, most interesting answers come from the oldest stories. Today, we're diving into some of those stories, the ancient Indian fables of the Panchatantra, to grapple with one of humanity's most tempting questions. So let me just ask you, straight up, if you could see everything that was ever going to happen to you, every win, every loss, every single moment, would you take that peek? Would you really want to know? It's a tough one, right? Because on one hand, that kind of knowledge seems like the ultimate gift, a true boon. You could prepare for anything. But on the other hand, wow, it could be an unbearable curse, forcing you to watch disasters unfold, knowing they're coming, but totally powerless to stop them. So let's really dive into this. Is knowing the future a boon or a curse? We're going to explore this whole idea through three incredible fables, and each one looks at fate from a completely different and pretty surprising angle. This brings us to a really fascinating concept called the prophet's dilemma. It's this paradox where having a special gift, like seeing the future, doesn't actually make you powerful. No, in fact, it can leave you totally isolated, feared, and basically cursed by the very thing that makes you special. And our first hero? He knows this all too well. Meet Ramlal. Now, this is a man whose dreams aren't just dreams. They are perfect, undeniable, 100% accurate glimpses into the future. Every single full moon, Ramlal sees what's to come. But here's the kicker. When he tries to warn people about the dangers he sees, they don't thank him. They treat him like he's bad luck, an omen of disaster. This so-called gift has absolutely ruined his life. He's unemployed, desperate, and eventually gets arrested just for stealing food to feed his family. Some gift, huh? So the king hears about him and decides to give him a job. Immediately, Ramlal's predictions start saving the day. He foresees an enemy attack, saving the whole kingdom. He uncovers a plot by a traitorous general, saving the king's life. But then, he predicts the minister's death. And the minister is so utterly shocked by the news that he has a heart attack and dies on the spot. So after saving the kingdom twice, what does the king do? He banishes Ramlal, kicks him out. Why? It comes down to this one, chilling judgment. The king says that knowing the future, whether it's good or bad, turns a person into a living corpse. You're just trapped by knowledge you were never meant to carry. Ramlal's gift wasn't a gift at all. It was poison. Okay, so Ramlal's story shows us a man totally cursed by knowing fate. But our next fable asks a really different question. What happens when fate itself makes a mistake? This is Karen's story, and his life gets thrown into absolute chaos, not because of some grand prophecy, but because of what you can only call a cosmic clerical error, a typo in the universe's to-do list. Get this, the god of death, Yamraj, was supposed to collect the soul of a Quran from a town called Sitapur. But oops, he accidentally went to Rampur and took our Quran instead. By the time this huge mix-up is discovered in the afterlife, it's too late. Down on Earth, Quran's family has already cremated his body. His soul is now stranded with no way back. The only possible solution? They have to do the impossible, literally rewind time itself. This story shows us something new. Fate isn't just a burden for us mortals. It's a super complex, even fragile system. And trying to correct even one tiny mistake can mean bending the entire fabric of reality. It proves that destiny is far from foolproof. All right, so we've seen fate as a curse, and we've seen it as a flawed system. Our final story offers a third, totally different perspective. Fate as a complete surprise. Let's meet the woodcutter. This is where it gets really interesting. It's all about perspective. In another world, to a kingdom of dwarves, this ordinary man is a terrifying, world-ending demon. But in his own reality, he's just a poor guy trying to make a living. His whole adventure is basically a comedy of errors. He accidentally chops down a magic tree and gets zapped into the dwarves' world. They, of course, freak out and attack him, but through a small act of kindness, he ends up befriending one of them, and, long story short, winds up fighting a real monster to save them all. He becomes a hero completely by accident. And his reward for all this? His literal body weight in gold. Think about that. He didn't need to see the future. He didn't have any special powers. Fate just showed up one day, out of the blue, and handed him a fortune. So what do we take away from these three very different tales of destiny? Well, when you look at them all together, they all seem to point to one powerful conclusion. Let's break it down. For Ramlal the dreamer, knowing the future was an unbearable burden that just destroyed his present. For Karan, we saw that fate is a fragile system, one that's even capable of making mistakes. And for the woodcutter, fate was just a wild surprise, delivering rewards he never could have seen coming. All these stories are pointing to one single, powerful idea. What if our greatest gift isn't knowing what's coming, but the exact opposite? Maybe the fact that we can't see the future is the real blessing, the thing that allows us to actually live freely in the here and now. Which brings us right back to where we started. After hearing these stories, I'll ask you again. If the book containing every single moment of your future was placed right in front of you, would you dare to open it?